One hand again. He's complaining. Gotta get back on defense. It's 5-on-4. You hear that? That was the Lakers' own broadcast team. On air. Completely fed up. Jeannie Buss just had to run her mouth, saying something about Luka Doncic that no owner in their right mind has ever uttered about their shiny new superstar. She exposed exactly how he crumbled when he found out about the trade and the little act he's put on ever since. But the real story is whether his childish behavior on the court is about to make her blow the whole thing up. All right, let's get into this mess. The trade that came out of nowhere. On February 2nd, 2025, the Los Angeles Lakers dumped Anthony Davis, Max Christie, and a 2029 first-round draft pick on the Dallas Mavericks for Luka Doncic. At the time, the Mavs were a pathetic 26-23, clinging to 8th place in the West. Their GM, Nico Harrison, claims he only talked to the Lakers and didn't even try to shop Doncic around. Just pathetic. Harrison swore up and down that Doncic never wanted to leave Dallas, never even hinted at not signing an extension, but they backstabbed him anyway. Then he tells reporters, "We definitely understand the magnitude of what just transpired. It's definitely not lost on us." Then he makes a little joke about how he won't be GM for long if the deal bombs. Trust me, it's not a joke. And this is where the whole circus really goes off the rails. Jeannie Buss, the so-called governor and owner of the Lakers, treated this whole disaster like it was her personal poker game. And hey, those are her words, not mine. Buss actually bragged in interviews that she kept the trade so secret that her own head coach, J. Redick, and the franchise's meal ticket, LeBron James, were completely clueless until it was a done deal. Seriously, think about that. LeBron James, the guy they call Le G.M., because he's orchestrated every roster move for the last decade, was left in the dark. J. Redick, the head coach, had no idea. Nobody knew anything. Buss tried to justify it by invoking the memory of her father, Jerry Buss, claiming she was just waiting for the right moment to gamble everything. Spare me. She said the Lakers weren't actively trying to get rid of Davis or Christie, but they just couldn't resist a talent like Doncic. Give me a break. And then, she took a cheap shot at Anthony Davis that was so loud, everyone in the room had to pretend they didn't hear it. Buss just casually threw out there that Davis was complaining about his role and wasn't happy, acting like this trade was some kind of favor. Then she had the audacity to praise the secrecy, saying, "I'm really proud that it didn't leak out. So, the trade is official. The basketball world is in an uproar. Luka Doncic is a Laker. And you'd think he'd be thrilled, wouldn't you? You just hit the jackpot. The purple and gold, Showtime, Hollywood, the team of Magic, Kareem, Shaq, and the legendary Kobe Bryant. You're supposed to walk in there like a conquering hero. That is not what happened." In August of 2025, Jeannie Buss goes on Slovenian radio and says something that just stops everyone dead in their tracks. Buss admitted, "Nobody knew the trade was going to happen. I knew and he didn't know." The sheer arrogance is stunning. I've never had a player come to the Lakers and be as sad as he was. He had to process what happened. Just let that little gem sink in. The owner of the Lakers, a woman who has seen actual legends walk through those doors for decades, said she has never, ever seen a player arrive so pathetic. Not just disappointed, not just surprised. Sad, the kind of sad where you have to treat it like a death in the family. Of course, the media vultures swarmed on this immediately. Nick Wright speculated that the trade shattered Doncic's fragile ego for the first time in his life, leading to some period of adjustment. And if you think about who Luka really is, that makes perfect sense. This is a guy who was coddled like a prince in Dallas from the moment he arrived. He could do no wrong. He was their franchise, their golden boy, the center of their entire universe. And then overnight, with no warning, without asking his permission, he was unceremoniously kicked to the curb. In Dallas, Luka was God. For all those years, he was infallible. That's the whole point. In Dallas, it was all unconditional love. Didn't matter how many games they lost. Didn't matter how badly they choked in the playoffs. Luka was their guy. He was there his whole career. They drafted him. They babied him in that organization. The fans would have been happy if he played for 15 years and never even sniffed a ring. It's the same way they put up with Dirk Nowitzki for 14 years before he lucked into that title in 2011. In Dallas, it doesn't matter what you do. You're always the guy. We love you no matter what. Yeah, well, welcome to Los Angeles, where that garbage doesn't fly. Buss knows it, the fans know it, and Luka is finding out the hard way. If Luka spends the rest of his career in LA and doesn't win, he won't be a beloved Laker. He'll be another forgotten failure. That's just the reality of playing for this franchise. You can be the most talented guy in the world. You can put up empty stats every single night. But if you're not hanging banners in the rafters, that LA love vanishes. Go ask Dwight Howard. Go ask Steve Nash. Go ask the graveyard of has-beens who came to LA with big promises and left with nothing. The Lakers are a championship or bust franchise, and Buss hammered that point home in a February 2026 interview, saying, "I think Laker fans have a lot to look forward to. We're about winning and wanting to add more trophies." She claimed every move would be about Doncic's success, that he's the new face of the franchise. We've heard that before. She called him an illusionist on the court for his passing style, saying he's a must-see attraction. The PR machine is working overtime. Then Buss claimed something magically shifted in Doncic over the summer of 2025. She saw him play for Slovenia and decided he looked more settled, finally embracing his role with the Lakers. How convenient. The Lakers even sent a coach over there to babysit him for Slovenia's national team, all to show how invested they are in making this farce work. She started spinning tales about his connection to franchise history, especially his admiration for Kobe Bryant, a guy he met once as a teenager, and Gigi Bryant. And then Doncic made a big public show of donating to restore a vandalized Kobe mural in May 2025, which Buss, of course, publicly applauded. So, to hear Jeannie tell it, everything is just perfect. She even denied that LeBron James was furious about the whole thing. She couldn't stop talking about Doncic's all-star fan votes and his global appeal. She painted this ridiculous fantasy of a franchise that is totally, completely all in on this guy. But here's the truth. While Buss is off in Fantasyland talking about trophies and illusionists, a disaster is unfolding right in front of her. Because what Luka Doncic has been doing on the court since he put on that sacred jersey has been driving people absolutely insane, and it has nothing to do with his scoring. It's not his passing, it's something toxic he's been doing his entire career, something that followed him from Dallas to Los Angeles like a disease he cannot cure. And that gets us to the behavior, the character flaw that came with him. Luka Doncic has a problem, a huge one, and it's not some new issue that popped up in Los Angeles. This disease has been festering since his rookie year in Dallas, and it has gotten progressively worse every single season. The real issue is his pathetic, non-stop whining to the referees, and the numbers expose him completely. By June of 2024, Doncic had already amassed a ridiculous 78 regular season technical fouls and another 9 in the playoffs, with a huge chunk of them coming directly from arguing with the officials. And get this, in the 2025 to 2026 season with the Lakers, he's actually on pace for a career times high times in technicals. He's already at about 13, with months still left on the calendar, putting him right near the top of the league's biggest crybabies. Let's dig into the sordid history, because this train wreck didn't just appear overnight. February 12th, 2020. Doncic is just a second-year player in the NBA. The Mavericks are up against the Sacramento Kings. Doncic plows to the basket, feels some contact, and hears nothing. No whistle. Naturally, he storms at referee Musa Dagger and instantly gets hit with a technical. But the moment that truly defined this little tantrum was when Kings coach Luke Walton, who was right there, sarcastically told Doncic to give the ref his autograph, basically calling out the league for already giving their new golden boy the star treatment. Walton, of course, got a technical of his own for that little jab. On social media, the fans were completely torn. Some were all, "See? Luka's already getting special treatment. The refs are in his pocket," while his little defenders scrambled to make excuses for him. Doncic ended up with 33 points, 12 rebounds, and 8 assists in a 130-111 victory. But the blueprint for his meltdowns was already set in stone. Now, let's jump ahead to August 30th, 2020. We're in the NBA bubble playoffs. It's Game 6 of the Western Conference first round against the Clippers. Doncic, after a call he didn't like in the third quarter, literally chucked the ball in the direction of referee Mark Davis, earning him a technical. The whole game was already a powder keg. Marcus Morris Sr. had already been tossed for a flagrant 2 foul on Doncic earlier. Coach Rick Carlisle got himself ejected too. A grand total of 6 technicals were handed out in that game alone. What a circus. The league later slapped Doncic with a $15,000 fine for his little ball-throwing incident. The Mavericks got humiliated, 111-97. And just like that, their season was over. Doncic put up 38 points, 9 rebounds, and 9 assists. But who cares? He was slammed for his lazy defense while he was too busy crying about calls. His very first playoff technical, his very first playoff elimination, where he seemed more focused on the refs than on the actual opponents. Fast forward to May 2021. This time it was an absolute spectacle. And guess who it was against? The Kings. Again. Doncic managed to pick up 2 technicals in the blink of an eye. The first one was for an offensive foul call where he screamed "Hell no" and shook his fist right in referee Rodney Mott's face. The second one came just moments later when he, in a fit of frustration, heaved the ball the entire length of the court, ejected. That brought his season total to a pathetic 15 technicals, just one away from a suspension. One more outburst, and he would have been forced to sit out a game. Rick Carlisle even got a technical during the same meltdown. The Mavericks lost 111-99. Doncic had 30 points before he was deservedly tossed. The league reviewed both technicals and surprise. Surprise upheld them. The ref basically told reporters the first was for being a disrespectful baby, and the second was for throwing the ball like a child. Fans weren't even worried about the loss anymore. They were panicking about whether their so-called franchise player could keep his mouth shut long enough to actually stay in a game. March 22nd, 2023. Golden State Warriors, Chase Center. Doncic drives, gets no call, and this time, he does something truly unbelievable. He makes a money sign gesture right at referee Kevin Scott, rubbing his fingers together, implying the fix was in or that the refs were on the take. Technical foul. That stunt earned him a $35,000 fine from the NBA, the biggest of his career at that point. The Mavericks lost 127-125. Doncic had 30 points. Some delusional fans called it brave, others called it what it was, stupid. But everyone knew one thing for sure. This guy has a serious problem and cannot leave the officials alone. And then, the biggest stage of all, June 12th, 2024. The NBA Finals, Game 3, against the Boston Celtics. The Mavericks were already down 0-2 in the series. Their backs against the wall. Doncic fouled out with 4 minutes and 12 seconds left in the fourth. 6 fouls, 4 of them in the final period alone. Most of them were just him being lazy on defense, reaching in and being completely out of position. After the game, Doncic had the audacity to say, "We couldn't play physical. 6 fouls in the NBA Finals. Come on, man. Be better than that." The Mavericks lost 106-99 and went down 0-3. No team in history has ever come back from a 3-0 hole in the finals. The season was toast, and the reactions online were brutal. One fan sarcastically wrote, "Wow, Luka is complaining about fouls. This is so out of character." Another just said, "He was throwing and tackling people. Learn to play defense." A more reasonable person pointed out, "They literally let a lot go. Don't go for a charge when you're not set." And of course, you had the die-hard Mavericks fans screaming he was robbed, but the story was already written. In the most important games of his life, nobody was talking about his talent. They were talking about his mouth. That was the Doncic who finally left Dallas. A player with all the talent in the world, but with 2 massive, career-defining flaws everyone could see: his terrible conditioning and his incessant complaining. And when the Lakers brought him in, there was this naive hope, maybe even a delusion, that the glitz of Los Angeles and the pressure of wearing purple and gold would somehow fix him. It absolutely did not. In fact, it's gotten worse. Since landing in Los Angeles, Doncic's war with the referees hasn't just continued. It's exploded to levels that people are calling a return to, or even worse than his peak Dallas meltdowns. And the media spotlight in LAA is about 100 times more intense than it ever was in Texas. April 8th, 2025. This was one of his first major blow-ups in a Lakers jersey, a road game against the Oklahoma City Thunder. Doncic got his first technical for screaming profanity at referee JT Orr in the third quarter. Classic. Then, in the fourth quarter, with the Lakers barely ahead 108-107 and 7 minutes and 40 seconds to go, Doncic started jawing with a courtside fan named Jeremy Price after a basket. But referee Orr thought the comments were for him. That was his second technical, and he was ejected. The Lakers were up by 1 point. Without Doncic, they completely fell apart and lost 136-120. The NBA, embarrassingly, took back the second technical the next day, admitting their mistake. The fan, Jeremy Price, even confirmed it was just some mutual trash talk. But it was too little, too late. One fan nailed it perfectly. The loss doesn't get rescinded though. Others were even angrier, saying garbage refs and hold the referee accountable and fine him. Someone even joked, "Now bring the teams back and reset the clock." Hilarious. Sure, but the Lakers choked away a game they should have won. And let's not forget, Doncic's first technical in that game was 100% on him. December 10th, 2025. Another game against the Thunder. Doncic drives and gets popped in the eye by a Kelly Olynyk elbow. The commentator, Stan Van Gundy, saw it live and said it should have been a foul, maybe even a flagrant one. The refs called nothing. And what did Doncic do? He whined. He got a technical foul for arguing, his 5th of the season already, and the Lakers lost. Now, was he right to be angry? Of course. He took an elbow to the face. Even the announcer said it was a blown call. But a pattern is a pattern. When you cry wolf on every single play, the refs just stop listening. They give you nothing. One fan on social media diagnosed the problem with brutal accuracy. Luka whines after every play. His incessant whining lost him credibility. Another was just dripping with sarcasm. "I'm surprised Luka complained about a call. He is the boy who cried wolf. The only problem is, sometimes the wolf is real. But now, nobody cares enough to believe him. Then came January 15th, 2026, and another absolutely pathetic display. In a 135-117 beatdown by the Charlotte Hornets, Doncic whined about a no call, lazily trotted back on defense, surrendered a wide-open three, and, of course, got hit with a technical. The fallout was immediate, with Lakers guard Marcus Smart practically screaming to the press, talking too much, after the game. Just think about that. Your own teammate is taking to the microphones to tell the world you need to shut your mouth. This wasn't a media problem anymore. This was a full-blown locker room meltdown. Fast forward to February 25th, 2026, the so-called revenge game, with Doncic making his grand return to Dallas wearing a Lakers jersey. In the game that everyone had circled on their calendar, it took a whopping 3 minutes, barely enough time to break a sweat for Doncic to pick up a technical foul for arguing about a missed call. That marked his 13th technical foul of the year, putting him on track for a career high, all happening in the very arena where he was once treated like a king. And then, the media vultures descended. On his podcast, ESPN's Zach Lowe unleashed what could only be called an absolute tirade. He labeled Doncic's antics unwatchable and completely unhinged, ranting, "It's every single play. Just play the game, man. Not everything is a foul. Are you trying to draw a foul? Or are you actually playing basketball? Are you in a one-on-one battle with the refs? It's relentless now. It's as bad as it was in Dallas. You can't even watch it." Lowe pointed out the sheer insanity of it all. Despite Doncic leading the league in scoring at around 32.5 points per game and free throw attempts at 10.7 a game, his incessant complaining kills the team's rhythm, destroys their transition defense, and completely poisons everything else he does. He practically begged Doncic to control what he could control, instead of trying to manipulate the officials on every single trip down the floor. Over at ESPN, Tim McMahon was just as savage on Get Up. He called the whining one of Doncic's two massive flaws, right next to his conditioning, saying he's crying more than he ever has, using the refs as a punching bag for his frustrations. The more frustrated he gets, the more he moans and complains. But Monty Jones took it to another level, declaring the Luka Doncic experiment a disaster for the Lakers, and saying he carries himself like a total loser. Former NBA player Jeff Teague didn't hold back, saying Doncic makes the Lakers a total snooze fest because all you hear is, "Damn, bro. You whine the entire game." Chandler Parsons branded him a foul baiter. Max Kellerman jumped on the pile. The chorus of criticism just kept getting louder and louder. But the real nail in the coffin came when the Lakers' own broadcast team made it impossible to look away. Is greater than. One hand again. He's complaining. Gotta get back on defense. It's 5-on-4. Let that sink in. Those are your own team's announcers, on live television, calling you out. Not the other team's commentators mocking you. Not some podcaster chasing clicks. The very people paid to make you look good on camera sound like they are completely fed up. Is greater than underneath. They're going to put it up and in, and one is greater than, and the foul is greater than, and right on cue, while Doncic was busy arguing, the other team cashed in. A 5-on-4 advantage, an easy basket, and a free throw. That's what you get for standing at half court, screaming at a ref who's already made the call and couldn't care less. It's is greater than, happening again. Is greater than, this is me on 4. Is greater than, this is me talking to my kids. Is greater than. That comparison wasn't some throwaway line. When a professional analyst says that watching a grown man play basketball is like scolding his own children, that's moved beyond criticism. That is pure, unfiltered exasperation. On social media, the fan backlash was just as brutal. A Reddit thread on Our Lakers about Lowe's rant blew up with over 500 upvotes, featuring comments like, "Luka is a massive talent, but God, he complains way too much. It always leads to a 5-on-4 the other way." Over on X, one fan posted, "The Lakers were already tough to watch. Now with Luka, I can't stand the Lakers with all the complaining." Another chimed in, "Now that Luka isn't hiding on a team nobody cares about, everyone sees how slow and lazy he really is." And of course, Mavericks fans just sat back and delivered a collective, "We warned you." Headlines started popping up like, "Lakers finally learning the harsh Luka truth Mavericks always knew." But some fan comments were sharper than any analyst's take. One person wrote, "The trade broke him. He's mentally weak." Jason Timpf called it infuriating and embarrassing, screaming for a wake-up call. A consensus was building, and it was ugly. Something had to give. Now, if you think this is just a story about some guy who bickers with referees, you are completely missing the point. The complaining is just a symptom. The disease is much deeper, and it's infecting every single part of how this Lakers team is constructed and how Luka Doncic is supposed to function within it. Let's talk about defense, or more accurately, the stunning lack thereof. On social media, fans have started calling Doncic a defensive virus and a walking liability. His defensive rating is one of the worst for any high-usage player, and opposing teams hunt him on switches like a lion, singling out the weakest gazelle in the herd. On SiriusXM, Sam Mitchell flat out called Doncic the Lakers' biggest problem, saying he refuses to play defense and holds his teammates to a standard he won't even apply to himself. A post on Reddit's RNBA talk with over 200 upvotes labeled him the opposite of a defensive anchor and declared, "The LA Lakers made the mistake of a lifetime trading for Luka." Even a die-hard former Mavericks fan who followed Doncic to LA had to admit on our Lakers, when he doesn't want to play defense or is tired, he is terrible at it. That's not a hater. That's someone who loves the guy telling you the stone-cold truth. And the February 24th, 2026 loss to the Orlando Magic was a perfect storm of everything going wrong. It was a wild, back-and-forth finish. On the final possession, the Lakers get the ball into Doncic's hands. And by the way, when he caught that pass, he was a good 8 feet behind the three-point line, but he was completely wide open. Is greater than, wide open. A shot he takes all the time, but he passed it up. He took a single dribble, then picked it up. He shoveled it to LeBron, but LeBron has his back to the basket out by the three-point line. So now, LeBron is forced to heave up this terrible fadeaway. 3 is greater than, and that's exactly where the play went to die. LeBron got the ball with no rhythm, 2 seconds left on the clock, and had no choice but to throw up a prayer. Naturally, it missed. After the game, Doncic tried to explain his meltdown. He mumbled, "I know it was open, but I just thought it was a little bit far, so I did one dribble closer. Probably should have picked up the ball. Probably should have." Right. LeBron, for his part, tried to be the good soldier, saying, "I thought he had a good look, and it looked like he kind of just lost his balance." That's just LeBron speak for the guy totally choked, and I'm not about to bury him in front of the cameras. But that botched final play was a symptom of a much deeper rot. Doncic's ball-hogging style has been called absolutely stifling. As Sam Mitchell put it, Luka Doncic doesn't know how to play basketball without the ball. At some point, NBA players are going to get sick of just standing around in the corner. Every single year since 2021, he's driving less and less, now bottoming out at a pathetic 14%, trading it all for those high-arcing, step-back prayers from 28-plus feet that are a miracle when they drop and an absolute offensive buzzkill when they brick. On Reddit, some fan finally had the guts to post an honest opinion, calling Luka's off-ball game what it is: atrocious. No cuts, no movement, and God forbid he sets a screen. If the ball isn't glued to his hands, he might as well be a statue out there. And don't even get me started on the fit with LeBron or the complete and total lack of one. Everyone with a brain has been screaming since day one that pairing up 2 ball-hogging playmakers who treat defense like it's a contagious disease was a train wreck waiting to happen. Let's see, what do they all have in common? Oh, that's right. They're just so gifted at making plays and hitting shots. And oh yeah, not a single one of them can guard a folding chair. That's the brilliant equation, isn't it? Doncic, LeBron, and Austin Reeves. 3 guys who can score and pass, but not one of them is willing to do the dirty work on the other end of the court. Nick Wright flat out said it on First Things First. The Lakers are completely dead in the water come playoff time, all thanks to Doncic's so-called defensive issues. He's just wasting his prime. Kelvin Washington was even blunter on The Odd Couple about the LeBron-Doncic disaster, saying, "This whole thing has to end. There are so many reasons why this is doomed to fail." The numbers just expose the whole ugly truth. Doncic is leading the entire NBA in turnovers, giving the ball away 4.1 times a game. With him on the floor, the Lakers' offense is a joke, with a rating of 117.8 points per 100 possessions, tied for dead last among players who actually get to touch the ball. As of late February 2026, their record is a completely mediocre 34-23, losing 4 of their last 6 games, including embarrassing losses to the Celtics and the Magic. And believe me, when this squad loses, they don't keep it close. The team that gets blown out by the most is the Washington Wizards. Big surprise. One of the worst teams around. That's what you'd expect. Sure, the Wizards are a complete joke, one of the most pathetic teams out there. But can you even guess who's sitting at number 2 in pure humiliation? That's right, the Lakers, which is just an unheard of level of pathetic for that organization. When the Lakers go down, they get absolutely annihilated, second in the entire NBA for how badly they get beaten, trailing only a team that's intentionally throwing its season away. And you know why? It's all rotten at the core, totally structural, and the Lakers are just stuck, doing neither one thing nor the other. They supposedly have all these smart, high IQ guys who can shoot. Sure, they've got some smart guys, and a couple can shoot, I guess, but they're so unathletic they can't recover from a single mistake, and they don't have enough shooters to paper over the glaring defensive holes. The second things go wrong, it becomes an avalanche. These blowouts aren't some freak accident. They're the predictable result of a roster that has no defense, can't run the floor, and can't shoot its way out of a paper bag. So, yeah, when they lose, they get absolutely annihilated. They get demolished. Over on X, one fan summed it all up. Too many lazy games. Just one step-back jumper after another. Someone else chimed in. The Lakers are just running a garbage offense. Give them the ball and let them cook. Yeah, cook up another turnover. And that post on the Lakers subreddit, titled "It's okay for us Laker fans to admit Luka hasn't been as great," called him a max menu build with glaring weaknesses. You can't make this stuff up. But of course, not everyone has bailed on the Doncic bandwagon. Candace Parker actually tried to defend him, claiming he's being overlooked for MVP just like Kobe was because everyone is bored with how great he is. Comparing this guy to Kobe? What an insult. Of course, you have the stat nerds on the NBA forums pushing back, crying jealousy, and pointing to his empty numbers around 32 to 35 points, 8 to 9 rebounds, and 8 to 9 assists on 61 to 62% true shooting. Wow, what incredible numbers for a team that can't even compete at a high level. And naturally, the blame falls on the front office, not Doncic, for not building a roster that perfectly hides all his flaws, just like they supposedly did in Dallas. And that, of course, brings us right back to Jeanie Buss. Because while all of this is happening, the constant complaining, the humiliating blowouts, the defensive breakdowns, the fans getting fed up, the media sharks circling, Buss has been sitting there, watching, and saying nothing. She hasn't uttered a single public word criticizing Doncic's embarrassing antics with the referees. No, she's all about growth and integration and the future. She claimed every single move would be made to ensure Doncic's success. She even called him the new face of the franchise. But here's the reality check about the Lakers. This franchise doesn't care about your feelings or your patience. It cares about championships, banners, trophies. Buss told the entire world that she is about winning championships, period. That is the only acceptable outcome. That is the Lakers standard. And let's be real, as it stands right now, this team is a first-round exit, and they'll be lucky to get that. They've got cap space and 3 first-round picks to play with this offseason. The tools are there to fix this mess. But it all comes down to one question. Can Luka Doncic stop being a whiny baby and his own worst enemy before this franchise wastes any more time on him? Because the owner is on the record. She called him the saddest player she's ever seen walk into their building. She said she's betting everything on him. She said the future is his. But in the same breath, she reminded everyone that this franchise is about one thing and one thing only: winning. And when those two things smash into each other, when the sadness and the complaining and the pathetic defense and the blowouts keep piling up against the absolute demand for banners and trophies, something is going to break. Buss played this trade like a high-stakes poker game. She pushed all her chips to the center of the table, and right now, she's staring at a losing hand. But the game isn't over just yet. The real question is whether Luka Doncic is going to get his act together before the Lakers are forced to fold and cut their losses. And if you seriously think Jeanie Buss is going to just sit back and let this legendary franchise get burned to the ground over one man's pouty attitude, you don't know the Buss family, and you sure as hell don't know the Lakers.